Suraj, you can start. The system is live. Attendance on Hive platform, so people are waiting over there. You can start. I'll just put the questions from there in the chat box over here, so you can ask it to Robin. Yeah.
Thanks, Anand.
Okay.
Hi to all of you out there. Today we are at yet another episode that we have in Startup Buzz. So Startup Buzz is one of the initiatives that we have in CII, the Western region, initiated by Ninad Karpe, who's our chairman, to talk about very interesting topics in startups. And today we're going to talk about mastering cash flow. And it's a very interesting topic when it comes to cash flow, and a very lot of things are happening around the startup ecosystem when it comes to cash flow. And today we have Robin sir, who is with us, and he's in such an amazing personality, and this is the second session we are having with him. And the first one was very much loud because he spoke about the mindset of cash and everything, how we should be doing as startups. And he has a tremendous amount of experience, what I've been reading about across 20 countries and a lot of manufacturing companies. And one of the awesome things is that he has written 3 books in indirect taxation. So that's pretty awesome. So Robin sir, welcome to the startup buzz that we have today.
Well, thank you everyone. Namaskar.
Robin sir, to start off with, to get an understanding or set a base, if you could understand what are the elements or the variables that make a startup successful. So how would you determine the aspects to make a startup successful?
Who doesn't want to become a startup entrepreneur? In fact, to become an entrepreneur perhaps is the dream of most of us. And when you have a dream, if you want to become an entrepreneur, you have to start somewhere. And when you start somewhere, it becomes a startup. So in the government of India's terminology, and if you are watching this from India, their definition of startup is a bit different from the traditional definition of startup. Every company, be it Reliance, Adani, Tata's, Mahindra's, everyone, each company was a startup someday. Could be 50 years back, 100 years back, 150 years back. Many startups, most successful startups, if you look back, you will find it has been started by 2 or more friends or a few of the family members. Normally, an individual who has started a business have not been historically very successful. That does not mean that a person, an individual cannot be. But if you look back, you will find three friends, 4 friends, 2 friends, 2 of the family members have started a startup. The question is, how do you make a startup successful? So before we get into how to make a startup successful, and because most of you perhaps are watching this from India, I want to really distinguish between what the government of India is saying as a startup and what a startup should be. Every startup is a startup. If you want to start a sandwich shop, a kirana shop, a consultancy firm, these are all startups. Manufacturing company. But in the eye of the government of India, they are saying they would recognize a startup which is sitting on innovation and which has employment generating capacity or possibility. Which means that if you are starting a corner shop, a pan biri shop, where perhaps you will sell Coca-Cola or Pepsi, that is not an innovation-oriented business. So the government of India is unlikely to recognize it as a startup. Startup also has to be less than 10 years of age, and it should not have a sales of more than 100 crores. If you are a startup in India, there are certain schemes where the government can give or does give some benefits, and which as we go along, we will figure out whether it is worthwhile to become a startup as per Government of India's definition. But the larger issue is, be it under the definition of Government of India or not, or government recognized or not, startup is a startup. So if we have this entrepreneurial zeal within ourselves, and if we want to start a business, how do we make it successful? This is the key question which is being asked. This is a tri-point. There are 3 things, ladies and gentlemen, all of you have to remember. The first issue for a successful startup is it's an idea. You must have an idea. Now, idea is fine, but it has to be implementable idea. Just because you have a great idea, I can go to the moon, doesn't mean anything because you may not be able to go to the moon. I cannot implement it. It's non-implementable. Many of us have a dream that I must become the most successful person on earth, President of the United States, Prime Minister of India. That's a dream. Good to have the dream, but the chance of the success is not even 1 in 1 crore or 100 crore maybe. So that's a probability of success is very, very limited. So you must have an idea which is implementable. This is our issue number one. The issue number two, which you must have, is that you must have good people who will make the startup, who will implement your idea, who is going to deliver it, who is going to meet the customers, who is going to do everything what you have. You as an individual, though many of us feel as an individual we can do a lot, you'll be surprised to know that as an individual we are zero. It is only when we are together, when it is 1 plus 1, it is not two. In business, it is definitely 11, if not more. That's why startup entrepreneurs historically, when they were two or three together, they have been more successful as time went by than individuals who started a startup. So first, it's an idea and implementable idea. I'll spend a minute or two on implementable idea. So because we are talking business, an implementable idea, which is where a customer is willing to buy what you're wanting to offer. It could be good service, whatever. Even if you want to become, let's say, a temple priest, it could be a startup. And but you must know my priesthood, I will be able to get something different. I will be able to offer something different to the customer. I'm talking business, and therefore I'm talking business, or customer, I'm talking money. Therefore, there is a customer requirement, customer needs it, I'll be able to sell it to somebody, and perhaps that opportunity of customer fulfilling his or her want is not there. First, idea. Number two, people. You must have good people. If you don't have good people, nothing can happen. And the third one, which is the discussion point today, is you must have enough money. Now, this enough money is where the problem is. And I will define as we go along because that's the purpose of today's discussion. Cash, cash, cash. Cash is king, funding, money, whichever language you use. So you need money. Unless you have some money, how do you start any business? You will have to pay salaries to someone, you will have to get your money yourself, you need to survive. So there has to be some money from somewhere. Own money, friends' money, parents' money, somebody else's money somewhere. So the tripod on which a startup stands is an implementable idea. People with fire in the belly, people who wants to do your business, be with you, and three, money. Money, cash, funding. This is the tripod, is what makes a startup successful.
Perfect. Sounds great, sir. And as you have started diving now into cash, so all of you listening out there, if you feel free to ask questions, it could be a conversation kind of a thing. So the more the questions are, we could have more perspectives around it. So you briefly spoke about the idea, people, and the money aspect. Now, if you go deeper, so what kind of a mindset do you feel that should have when you're handling cash?
Yes. So let's now deep dive into this whole issue of cash. Deep dive into the cash startup, this combination. So when you are starting a business, you need cash. You need money. Well, cash means cash, just a word. Cash could be money in the bank or whatever, doesn't matter, but we will use loosely this word called cash. The first idea or first um, thinking which you must have in your mind is you must have cash which will run your business for 1 year, even if you are incurring a loss. This in terminology, commercial terminology, is called cash burn. You must think or plan that if my business does not make money, I would be able to, I will be able to sustain my 1 year's cash burn. howsoever brilliant your idea could be, howsoever brilliant engineer you could be, there is hardly any business where you start making money from day one. Here, because you're a startup, because you have started your business, and many of you who are hearing this may not be financially knowledgeable, or may not have the financial theory around you. I would like to explain this little simply. You start a startup, and that startup is you are manufacturing something. Let's look at the manufacturing. Let's say you have an idea that you can make a little liquid, a bottle liquid, which will help people to grow hair. Just an idea. You will see most men, most of them become bald or near bald or lose hair after 40, 45, 50 years of age. It's an incredible market. 50% Earth needs 50% Earth needs are men, and out of the 50%, almost 35, 40% globally are more than 40, 45 years of age. They need hair. They will lose hair, some more, some less. They will lose hair and would need a hair growth product. And you think you have cracked it, you have a product which can grow hair. I'm not getting into now approval from the government about whether it's cosmetics, drugs, or so on and so forth, which I suppose you will be able to get if your product works. Now, how do you sell? So first you have to make it. So when you are making it, you have to make a prototype. First, you have to make some bottles, 100, 200, 300 bottles, prototypes. And then those bottles, you need to give it to the market to see and try that somebody is using it. And in 3 months, he feels that my hair falling has stopped. That's your first, let's say, uh, benchmark that your product is working. Whether new hair will grow or not, that's a separate. But if you can prevent hair from falling, that's a great victory to have. But in order to make it, you have to pay money, salaries to your people. You have to buy the bottles. You have to buy the chemical because you have to do it together. Now you have started cost. Then wherever you are making uska power, rental of the place, the security guard. So you have already started incurring cost. First month, second month, third month. No sales have happened. You are making prototypes. Once you make prototypes, you will not be successful. Maybe everything is going right. Let's say you do, then you will give it to the market. Let's say 100 friends of yours are willing to try your prototype that they want to prevent the hair from falling. You at least have to wait 3 months. There is no way on earth you will get to know whether the hair has stopped falling or not. 3 months minimum, if not six. Let us take the best case scenario, 3 months. Now, 6 months has gone by. You have earned nothing. You have continued to incur cost. You have a great idea, fantastic idea, hair growth, and you believe it works. There is a great customer need. You have good people, but you are producing and getting no money, no cash. On the seventh month, you feel that there is a product which seems to be working. Now, when it seems to be working, what do? You need to place it again. I'm hastening the process to make a point that you want to put it in some shops where a shopkeeper is going to sell it. Advertising material, some little stuff, in internet or social media. So again, some money cost. Then you put it in a shop. The shopkeeper will say, "ठीक है, if somebody buys, no problem. But if somebody buys only, then I will pay you." But you keep it on my shop. Now you keep it on the shop 2 months, 3 months, maybe third month somebody buys it. Again, no sale. You have again incurred cost. Shopkeeper has sold, but you have not got the money. Now shopkeeper has got the money after 3 months. So 9 months is gone. Now some sales have started coming in, some little material. So you may have spent, I'm just giving a hypothetical number, 50 lakhs. But the first sale, maybe 100 rupees, 200 rupees, 300 rupees. See, 9 months, 10 months, you have a great product. Super product. Already 9 or 10 months have gone. No money has come. Slight money has started coming in on the ninth and the 10th month. Come 12 months, more sales are going to happen. So now more sales are going to happen. So 12 months have gone. You have to have that cash in your pocket to fund these 12 months where your product is getting tested. You're not going to get cash. And this is called cash burn. Cash burn would be, let's say you will spend 50 lakhs, hypothetically simple example. On the 11th and 12th month, you got some sales, let's say 1 lakh. So 49 lakhs was your cash burn. So now to begin your business, you don't know what the cash burn will be. You don't know whether you will sell at all anything. You have to estimate what the cost would be in your first month, 1 year, first year. You can technically subtract the sale you will have, and then the balance is called the cash burn that you must have it in your pocket. The biggest problem why startups are not successful, because startup entrepreneurs do not plan for a 1 year's minimum cash burn. And as I go along, we will explain to you through examples and stories which has happened where cash was the only reason why a great idea failed or some great ideas failed. This is required as far as startups are concerned.
Perfect, sir. So I think you spoke about one of the core elements of the pillars is for startup founders to at least have the perspective when they go and validate their hypothesis, and to have this 1 years of cash. Now, assuming that founders who are starting off have this 1 year of cash aligned and the hypothesis is also working, but what has been happening with us or most of us in India is that in our schools and colleges, we've had finance, we had accounts in our education, but no one has taught us how to manage the cash in context of as soon as you become an entrepreneur. So, what are your thoughts around how should a startup founder manage the cash when it comes to the aspects?
Wonderful. What I would do, all of you who are listening to this, think that you are an entrepreneur and your product is, let's say, started selling. It is possible that you are an entrepreneur in the consultancy part, that you are an engineering consultant or an accounting consultant or an AI consultant. It is quite possible that you will be able to start selling almost from first or second month, but you may not be able to make cash neutral because you will have to keep 5, 6, 7, 10 specialists, and the customers will start coming in slowly. Even then, there is a cash burn. And after 1 year, your customers will say, you know what, if you go to that company, Excel company, they are very good. But after 1 year, because word of mouth has started, customers are happy, and you are now started recovering the salaries, you started recovering your rental, you started recovering your electricity. Now, the question here is, I will go beyond this 1 year concept. First year is obviously a very stressful, challenging, and you have to keep in your pocket the cash burn. And I will explain to you how to calculate the cash burn, but little later. Now we'll go forward. We are the second year or third year. Historical evidence shows that 7 out of 10 startups fail. 7 out of 10. It is the balanced 3 successes which are driving all of us to say that I will not be one of the 7. I will be one of those 3 where I will be successful. Now, the lack of success happens purely, mostly, my experience is maybe 70-80% of the lack of success is funding issue, money not being there, paisa not being available. So how do we go about doing it? 2 things we must remember. One is you must make a budget of your expenses which you are going to incur. You should also make a budget of the income which you are going to get. Expenses which you are going to incur. Many professionals will say you have to make a monthly budget. No one can make a monthly budget. It is almost impossible. If you can make a quarterly budget, that is really, really good. So submission here is that today, let's say we are sitting in March and you want to do March 2024, you want to do a budget. So start with April, May, June, then July, August, September, budget period 2, and then budget period 3 is October, November, December, and then next year, January, February, March is budget period number 4. In this next 4 quarters, kindly estimate what is going to be the cost? And most of the startups, perhaps most of the startups, because many of them are innovation driven, will be wages or salaries, will be the manpower cost, will be one of the significant cost of your startup. Not necessarily when I give the example of the hair growing liquid, maybe the chemical will be very expensive. Maybe the machinery will be very expensive. You may have to hire a machinery to bottle those small little bottle those liquid. You may need not have a machinery yourself. You may go to a third party and say, would you allow me to bottle 100 bottles just to test this? So you will have to figure out what is going to be the cost of the next 4 quarters. What is going to be the cost? This cost primarily will be a raw material if you are a manufacturing company. If even if it's with, first of all, let's take a manufacturing company, will be a raw material and packing material. Number two will be labor and salaries. Number three will be rental of the premises, and number four will be electricity and power. Number four, administrative costs. For instance, let's say if you have to have an office, you have to have administrative costs, tea, coffee, so on, so on. Say traveling and so on and so forth. Advertising cost, of course, whether it's social media or otherwise, it costs money. Nothing comes free. This is your cost. Let's please work out the cost for the next 4 quarters. And then for the next 2 years, don't go beyond that. Some books will tell you how to do a 5 year planning and 10 year planning. Even large companies established for 50, 60, 100 years cannot forecast what will happen after that. It is impossible, cannot budget. So you can make an estimate that because you are a startup, next 4 quarters, what is going to be cost, and you estimate the cost in the year 2 and year 3, not quarterly, not quarterly. You revise, make it quarterly as you almost come to a year end one, first year end, then you will have a little more visibility as to what the 4 quarters of the year 2 will be. So, first, cost, estimate cost. If it is a consultancy type of startup, your cost will be mostly labor and office. Now, work from home has hardly vanished, almost vanished. We are all in the office, we back to the office cost. If you can afford work from home, maybe that money will save. But my experience is showing 90% of us, I think, have to go back to the office to make it more meaningful. It worked for 2 years during the pandemic, but nowadays, perhaps it doesn't work. Okay. So estimate cost. Once you estimate cost, you know how much money will you require. Then superimpose this cost, put it above that, your sales revenue. I told you on year one of that example of a hair tonic, 50 lakhs was your cost, and you got 1 lakh rupees sale. You will have to estimate that. Of course, nobody knew your cost will be 50 or 60 or 40, but you more or less know that if 1 year I have to pay for 5 people and this chemical and a rental for a place, about 50 lakhs. Then you may estimate that at least 2 to 3 lakhs I will be able to sell. So your cost for quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four is 50 lakhs. Your estimated sales, let's say, was 2 lakhs, although actually it made 1 lakh. So you knew that in year one, by quarter four, I will be 48 lakhs out of pocket. ये 48 lakhs देगा कौन? Who will give this 48 lakhs? From where will I get this 48 lakhs? So this is your first lesson of finance management for a startup. What will happen to my first year, first 4 quarters of working? What will be my cost? What will be my sales? As you go along in this journey, please update. What did you think the cost will be and what is your actual cost? Compare. When you do this, this is called budgeting analysis. If you look at a costing book, what to say? You do budgeting, you do variance analysis. What does it mean? It means that I budget that in quarter one, I will incur, let's say, 10 lakhs. I have to incur, I will perhaps possibly incur about 50 lakhs, quarter one 10 lakhs, quarter two 20 lakhs. Let's say I'm just giving a hypothetical example. So you know in the first quarter I will incur 10 lakhs, and the second quarter 20 lakhs, and then another 20 lakhs. Between quarter 3 and quarter 4, I will incur, which will make it 50 lakhs. Now, this 1 lakh, 10 lakhs you thought in quarter 1, I will incur. Then please see after quarter 1 has ended, April, May, June, in the end of June, did I incur 10 lakhs or did I incur 15 lakhs? So if you have incurred 15 lakhs, you are already that 50 lakhs original budget has become 55 lakhs. You have to start hunting for who is going to fund that. If you don't fund it, the company is going to go up, go bust. This is how it happens. Most of our entrepreneurs who are technically very sound is not doing the budget analysis. That means there is a budget, 10 lakhs in this particular case for quarter 1, actual cost, actual incurrence of cost of 15 lakhs. So there is a variance analysis of 5 lakhs. 5 lakh kharcha zyada ho gaya. So he has to start as an entrepreneur thinking, how will I get this to 5 lakhs more? Now, there is another thing which has happened. I know maybe I'm getting into little nitty-gritties, but that's the only reality. As you started your startup, we are all starting startup. We are not a Tata, Mahindras, and Birlas, the company. We are all startup. As you go along in your first quarter journey, you said in the first year, I'm going to incur 50 lakhs. But you soon realize it was under budgeted. It is not 50 lakhs. I thought a machine I will be able to hire for 1 lakh. But the machine hire is now 3 lakhs. It's 3 times more than what I thought. It is going to happen. You thought I'm going to recruit a technician for 50,000 rupees salary. But now the technician is asking for 1 lakh. Less than 1 lakh, you're not getting a technician. Now, if you don't have a technician, you don't have a machinery to bottle, your product doesn't even go. So you have to incur for the technician, have to get the machinery. So you're already out of pocket, and you know quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4 also I'm going to incur the same cost. So please revise your original budget. Is it 50 lakhs holding, or is it already looking 60 or 65 lakhs? Then, as an entrepreneur, start planning. You plan for 50 lakhs, now it's looking 65 lakhs. From where that 15 lakhs will come? Don't wait till this next year at the year end and then start running helter skelter. Oh my God, I don't know, my cash is all gone. This is precisely what's happening to most of the largest names. They are running helter skelter at the last moment, hunting for funds because they have not planned beforehand that what is it that I needed to fund and where will I get the money from. So, in this particular module of discussion, when you are a startup entrepreneur, if you want to understand how to manage your business financially, prepare a quarterly budget to start with, and then an annual budget. Make a 3-year plan because we are startups. I'll come to it also why startups are more problematic because startups cannot get loans. And I'll come to that loan business a little later, maybe after this itself, so that if you agree. So do your budgeting, understand what's you're going to be your cash burn, how much you're going to spend, then every quarter revise what you thought will be your cost would be and what is the actual cost. And that means how much cost you are going to incur and start thinking that from beforehand, I had started with 50 lakhs. Now it seems it is going to be 65 lakhs for the year. That 15 lakhs, where will it come from? Start ahead of time. Now. Assuming in the month on the quarter 1, after quarter 1, you are in quarter 2, you know I will definitely incur 65, and no question. I have 50 lakhs in my pocket. But if you feel that you cannot manage that extra 15 lakh, there is no way on earth that 15 lakhs can come because whatever you had, you have sold, and maybe some gold and things you have sold, you cannot get the 15 lakhs. You may have to cut the loss. You have to stop the business in quarter 2, say that why incur more cost? Because I cannot manage the cost overrun. Rather than thinking God will help, because most entrepreneurs, all those who are listening to this conversation, you are all potential entrepreneurs or you're already entrepreneurs. The difference between entrepreneur and a non-entrepreneur, which is an employee, is entrepreneurs normally very optimistic. An employee class of employees, the employee as a class, they're either pessimistic or perhaps little risk averse. You guys, entrepreneurs, are risk prone or you love risk, you are optimistic, and your capability to handle risk is singularly higher than others. But this optimism doesn't mean God will give you the money. Optimism means that, okay, I now know 50 lakhs is a shortfall. I will now work towards getting it, that 50 lakhs. If I got so far, I will also manage it. This, I know it was a long explanation for a short question, but this, I believe, is the way you should start and continue to run your business so that you do not run out of cash without your own knowledge.
Perfect, sir. So I think it also prepares us for some of us who have the IPO mindset and looking at the data in terms of quarterly, it will stretch you that far. And as you also shared that one of the primary things that we should do is start measuring monthly. It's not possible, so at least quarterly, and start reviewing it quarterly. So just you get a perspective on the direction as well. Apart from being super good in technical, super good in sales, super good in all the other areas, money which is not getting so much looked into, if you are looking at it quarterly, just so that doing bad, so but how bad you're doing it. So that's a pretty interesting insights that you give in terms of quarterly,
Suraj,
looking at
if you allow me to come in, I did mention that I would explain the loan concept, how to borrow. That borrowing concept, if I can explain, if you are a startup, startups cannot borrow money. Almost possibilities of borrowing is very limited because whoever will lend you money, a bank or an NBFC, non-banking financial corporation, they will lend you money based on a security. But you are a startup, where is the security? Unless you want to give the security of your father's home, of your home. Assuming for a moment that you will not do that, you want to give security of your company or company's assets, but your startup, there are no assets. So how will loan comes only with a security, hypothecation or mortgage. Therefore, you will have to look for funds either from your own fund or from friends and relatives, or some state governments are giving some grants, not too popular in India, or investors. Theoretically, we all know we talk about investors. It could be PE funds or angel investors. Angel investors are purely those investors who are willing to invest at an early stage, and PE funds normally wants to invest at a later stage when they know the proof of concept is working, your product is selling, you need money to scale up, and that's where the PE funds comes in. However, whatever it is, be it angel funds, PE funds, friends and relatives, these are all called equity money. Equity money. They are taking they are taking parts of your company. They're taking shares of your company. So you are no longer the 100% owner of the company. Let's say you're 100% owner of a company, you need 50 lakhs. An angel investor says that, okay, you will need 50 lakhs, I'll give you 25 lakhs. But you know what? You need 50 lakhs, you need 25 lakhs, but I need 80% of the company and not 50% of the company. And that's the problem. They are giving you 50% of your money, but looking for 80% of your company's share capital. So at an early stage, when your product is not proven, when you are not sure whether the products will work, even the investors doesn't know whether your product will work. You said I have a product which helps here to grow, but you don't know whether it works. It's just your thought, your story. Therefore, when you are a startup, please look for equity investor. You have to give parts of your company, and looking for debt is almost impossible. There is one caveat in India. Banks can give you money up to rupees 2 crores without security. You don't have a security. If they can give you under the MSME scheme, micro small industries, small and medium enterprises scheme. There are banks like say SIDBI Bank. You can get a 2 crores loan if you can say that you have to show something. Of course, there is a story. You have to get an idea. What is it that you're going to do? If you are a technically qualified person, they will see who you are. They will see what your plans are, and they may they may agree to give you a loan up to rupees 2 crores without any security. It's a loan. It's a loan, not equity. It's a loan. Therefore, barring this small little window of without security loan, a startup normally have to depend on equity money.
Perfect, sir. And also, like the point that you spoke about in context to loans, unless you are able to service that repayment, you should not maybe get into loans. One aspect, and one of the things that I did for raising funding was that I could not service the customers, a lot of them, so I just created a waiting list. So I had a huge waiting list, and I showed my waiting list to my investor, and then it was super easy for me to get the investment as well. So one of the questions that we have is, imagining there is a startup that has not been so good in this budgeting, because most of us are not into the quarterly budgeting aspect as well, because things are so much moving around. We feel that there's no need to budget, just go with the flow and see how it happens. But in context of the question is that if there are financial strains, what are some creative solutions or alternate funding sources that startups can explore to alleviate cash flow pressure?
As I explained, there is hardly any other alternative methods. But while you are one concept, I think it is very important for you, all startup entrepreneurs, to know that there is a difference between sales and cash. Your company may be selling, that means you have started selling. You are generating revenue. That does not mean you are generating cash. Now, this difference, if I can explain, and then come back to the question is, what other methods of getting cash or what other methods of generating money? First, I will explain you the concept of sale versus cash and then generating money, how to generate more money. The concept of cash and sales is sales and cash is like this. Let us say you have this same example I take. You take the example of you have invented or you have developed a hair anti-hair fall lotion or hair growth lotion. That lotion, and it is priced 100 rupees. You place it on a shop and they say, wow, the shopkeeper says, wow, anti-hair anti-hair fall or hair growth, it will do very well. So that retailer or that, let's say, marketeer, he buys all your product. He or she buys all your product. So you have generated sale on day one, let's say have 2 lakhs. You generate sale. But that fellow has not paid you. You have a sale of 2 lakhs. You are telling your, let's say, finance guy or your person, हमारा पास 2 lakh आ गया. But the customer has not paid you. Customer is trying to hold back your money to see whether the product works. And he wants to try for 3 months. After 3 months, he will pay you the money. So sales does not mean cash. When you have sales, the sales, you had product, liquid bottle, you sold. What happened? You get a customer. It's called receivables. In financial term or commercial jargon, it is called receivable or debtors. Another word, complicated word, debtors. Most of the time, debtors work. It's very difficult to remember. Receivables. The receivables has to pay the money to convert that into cash. You started with cash, converted into raw material, sold it, got into debtors, which is receivables. Unless the receivables pays you, the cash doesn't come back. So please keep an eye. Sales is not cash. If you've sold something and the customers have not paid you, don't sell. Or maybe even if you sold, then that's part of your cash burn. Please keep an eye that, okay, sale is good, but is that seller going to pay? And will the seller, well, going to pay, but pay within reasonable period? Most important. So this is concept number one. Now let me answer the question as to many a time startups are obviously starting to run out of money all the time. many a time, and you people, perhaps most of the time, we don't do budget in advance. We don't know that we will run out of cash. What to do? The source for startup funding is equity, which means people like angel investors, private equity investors. There is no hardly other options. Of course, friends and relatives, which you may have already tapped. Why will they give you money? Why do they give you money? And what should you do to ensure that they will give you money? The way when an investor, what does an investor look for? An investor is looking that if he gives you money, he will make more money. He gives you money so that he makes more money. Therefore, you will have to present to him your business plan to show this is how my business sales and cash flow will stack up over a period of time. You have to have a convincing story to say that why do you need money? And that you have a story to say. Most important, you must somehow prove that your concept works. If you can show your concept works and there is a possibility to garner sales, then investors will give you money. And the most important thing what investors gives you money, they give you the money, it is because of you. You as an entrepreneur, the biggest test, the biggest uh, test for getting money is the entrepreneur himself or herself. They give you, they will not tell you, but they are trying to judge, do you have fire in the belly? Are you a person who wants to look at a gig getter? Are you a person who is willing to burn the midnight oil to get it work? Do you have that eagerness to make it happen? And most importantly, do you have the skills to run a business? And skills to run a business, not necessarily the technical skill. You may know exceedingly well how a machine operates, a chemistry operates. But if you don't know how to manage people, you are in net zero. Net zero, because you are demotivating people. People do not want to work with you. Very important. You know, we have all learned when we were in school or colleges, there is something called IQ and EQ. IQ, intelligence quotient. All of you, each one of you startup entrepreneurs will have very high IQ, intelligence quotient. You will have intelligence quotient which is above average. The problem is many of us is our EQ, emotional quotient, ability to deal with others, ability to deal with others. So when you go to the funding guys, they are watching you. They are saying, does this fellow have EQ? IQ, of course, they have. He has. Does he have EQ? Can he manage people? Can he motivate others? Can he give the customer tell the customer the story? So the two most important things they are looking for is how is your sales plan? How will it grow? What are your growth plans? What are you going to do? And who you are. This is what makes the money come. Ladies and gentlemen, believe me, there is no dearth of money. Just see how the stock markets are booming. India is booming. At the time I'm talking to you today, things are completely different in India. So there is enough money. There is enough money, but the money is only chasing good business propositions. So get your business proposition structurally well done. If you have a good friend who is a CA or maybe a finance guy, ask him or her to help you to structure it so that investors can understand the numbers. Many of us, as technical guys, we believe we understand, but we have to make the investor understand your numbers. To summarize, cash is the king. You are always looking for cash for sure. That is the problem. Do not think that you can go to a bank and get money. That's almost impossible unless you want to mortgage your own home, which I wouldn't suggest to do so. Your daddy or whoever would have constructed someone with his or her lifetime savings. Try not to do that, but try to get your equity. If your idea is good, if you are sold on your idea, why can't you sell the idea to somebody else? And ladies and gentlemen, please develop your EQ, emotional quotient, ability to deal with others. People should love to work with you. People should love to talk to you. People should love to have you with you. Have you with them. These are the these are the traits which can be developed. You see, IQ God has to give. Very difficult to create an extraordinary IQ. God gives us some basic IQ on which we have developed. But EQ, each one of us can develop. It is in our hand to develop if you work on it. The last one, if you can plan in advance, do a little budgeting. How much cash you will get? What is going to be your budget? And where is you are heading for? You will not have to run from pillar to post. You will know in advance where am I and what am I going to do tomorrow. So plan in advance, make a budget, do a budget difference, actual versus budget. This is called little technical words. When you run out of money or if you're likely to run out of money, keep speaking to investors, telling them your story, and please show that you can make it work. You are the final test for any investor.
Perfect, amazing, sir. And you also spoke about, in the initial part you spoke about how sales is different from cash and how the cash flow is again important. So what do you, and again we have a couple of questions in the audience, looking at the cash flow. How would you manage it, or what are the strategies around it? So why does cash flow go wrong in context of sometimes sales is happening, sometimes sales is not happening, or what are scenario? So why cash becomes an issue, or what are the mistakes that happens in cash flow, which you said that's the heart of it?
It happens to many of us. Many of us who would have worked somewhere, we would have got a bonus. During Diwali time, India, we get bonus. You know what happens? The day the bonus comes, the next day you go for a party, which means you burn the cash. You go for a drinking binge or go for a party, go for a nice holiday. You burn the cash because you got some money. You feel good. I want to enjoy it. Then again, after coming from the holiday, no cash, gone. This also happens in business. Whenever some sales cash comes in, customers pays money. Don't try to misuse it or be optimistic and use it somewhere else. Hold the cash carefully. Hold it because the budget, you know, I'm going 50 lakh rupees is my budget. If 50 lakhs rupees is the budget, I only got 2 lakhs. Why should I burn that 2 lakhs? Many other time, you see, there's no rocket science behind it. You cannot generate money from the air. Whether I give the talk or Harvard Business School professor makes this talk, the answer will be same. Cash cannot be generated from the air. So whatever little cash comes in, try to be careful on that cash. Warren Buffett have already always said that whichever way you go, savings should be your first target and investment should be your second target. Business में तो ऐसा नहीं होता. It is not so easy because you need to cash to flow out all the time. One thing, remember, one additional thing you may remember, that as when you are selling, your customers are going to give the money maybe 30 days later or 60 days later. Similarly, when you are buying, also buy on this credit term. I will pay you after 30 days or 60 days. I will repeat. If you are a manufacturing company, even some technical companies also hires people, technicians from outside. If the customer is going to pay you after 30 days, why don't you pay your suppliers also after 30 days? Sometimes we don't remember that we pay suppliers on time or supplier paisa aaya, usko de do. But the customers are paying only after 30 days. Most of the time in India, customers pays average between 60 and 75 days. Please remember, 2 months to 2.5 months, only after that the customer pays. Somehow try to see that when you are buying things, also you have agreed that you will pay them after 60 days. That means when the customer pays, you pay your vendors. Try to match, इसको बोलते हैं debtors and creditors. It's a jargon that means vendor payment will be made not only when the customer pays, that you can't say. If the customers on an average is paying on 60 days, try to pay the vendors also on 60 days. Not easy, but keep that in mind. This might help you to manage your cash better. So 2 lessons: store cash. Don't try to binge with it. Don't try to burn it. going for a sales conference and burn a lot of money. Don't do that. Number two, try to match your vendor payment, the number of days, as par with your customer payment in number of days.
Amazing, sir. So, in context of even the Warren Buffett's example is pretty awesome because he lives so much below his means that he can do. So that's one aspect of being a startup. Like, as you rightly said, spending less than your means in spite of the fact that you have a lot of cash available, and also now one of the questions that we have again here is that, like, what are the tools available online that you could use to control the cash? And finally, if you could also talk about a few examples in the Indian startup industry who have, where we could learn lessons from, who have been not been able to handle cash properly. So any lessons from startups Indian ecosystem where we could learn lessons on on the cash flow or the cash and tools for how we can all manage and control cash.
There are so many examples because I told you 7 out of 10 startups fail. And that is not India, that is all over India, all over the world, including India. Classical examples. If you remember eBay, there was a very popular website. It changed the world. It was an auction site. You could auction. You can buy through auction. You can sell through auction. Whoever pays you the highest price. So it started in 2005, and it went bankrupt in 2018. We don't see eBay anymore. It's gone over. Why don't you see? Why don't you think what went wrong? Just two things went wrong. Of course, we are not internal people. We wouldn't know the truth. But what one believes what has gone wrong is it was an auction site. So somebody will say, I'm auctioning my painting, which is worth 1 lakh. You say, wow, that led 1 lakh, but it's available at 20,000. A very expensive, let's say, Hussein's painting. Somebody is selling in eBay Hussein's painting. Very expensive, but it's saying 20,000 rupees I will give you. See, this is the picture. This is the painting. Oh, yeah, okay, 20,000 rupees, take it, give me that. And when that fellow gets, it is not an original, but a fake Hussein painting. The company could not manage the quality of the product which it was getting auctioned or traded. It was a management failure. It was a management failure. But why did this management failure come? Because company did not have money to build in a quality system. Because now if I am in Bombay and Suraj, you are in Delhi, I am selling a Hussein painting from Bombay. So somebody must come in Bombay to check it is a Hussein painting or not. So you have to have so many quality control people all over India to check the authenticity of the product. How do you do that? It's not easy. So authenticity could not be proven because they have no money to set up the quality control system. They did not have money of the quality control system. The products were not credible. Bankrupt. They tried their very best. eBay is a global product. There's a great company called Room Tonight, which started in 2014. And I thought it will give a run for boyos of the world. 2017, Room Tonight finished. What happened? They did not have money. What went wrong with Room Tonight is they were trying to match or compete with Oyo. And also they were trying to match with Make My Trip. But Oyo and Make My Trip was well funded. They were also incurring losses. But they had money, they had fund. No, they had the money power. They had more cash burn capability. Room Tonight thought, I have rooms, people can get the rooms. Last minute rooms I will give, very great. And they did not have money power at all. They had some cash burn of 3 months or something like that. Finished over. They did not plan for cash burn. Thinking I have a great product, people will come and buy my rooms. They did not. And the biggest one, which is currently going and everyone talking about, is Byju's. Just think what a great product Byju's is. They reinvented the way the internet model of education was going. It was what, $22 billion 2 years back. $22 billion. Today it is worth $200 million. They have not been, as I'm talking to you, they are not able to pay the salaries of their employees. There is, of course, some dispute between the board of directors who the money is not there, so on and so forth. But the bottom line is cash management. They have not planned cash to be kept in their pocket should a problem arise. And this problem in Byju's is brewing for last 18 months. It's not like that it has just started. They obviously misrepresented their accounting. They did not get their accounts audited. All that made the investors very nervous. Their governance, their behavior, it all boils down to cash management. They did not do things rightly. They had a great product. They were doing brilliantly. Everybody knew Byju's. They were even uh, they were in fact going with the India team of cricket. They were publicizing to that. They were spending millions of dollars for advertising. Everyone in India knows Byju's. What a brand! And think they're all gone. One reason, nothing to do with product, cash. They don't have money to run. And why did it happen? Of course, management failure. Ultimately, it comes to that they did some inappropriate things and so on and so forth. But if cash flow was usko dhyan batata. See, they had a great idea. I think they have great people, but they have no money. Byju's is over. So whichever way you look, one of the three is missing. Idea, people, money. Money, idea, people. Startup is gone.
Great, sir. And any advice on the tools that we could use to control cash? If you have any thoughts around it, then it would be interesting.
Cash budget, cash budget, cash budget. If you are a running, believe me, it works wonders. If you are a running startup, as you start, make a quarterly budget, how much you are going to spend. Let's say today's March, you have now made April, May, June budget. As April ends, please do a May and June budget also. For instance, sitting now, you made a 10 lakh rupees budget for April, May, June. In April, you may have spent 7 lakh, sorry, 2 lakhs maybe, but just please make April and May, April, May, June, and just see how that 10 lakhs you're going to use. It is very important, ladies and gentlemen. You guys are startup entrepreneurs. You guys are very innovative. You guys can think out of the box. Please, please think money. Do budgeting first quarterly, and as the quarter you enter, do monthly. And tell someone to keep a tab. If my budget was 3 lakhs for the month, have I spent 2.5 or have I spent 3.5 lakhs? If you have spent 3.5 lakhs, that 0.5 you have to save next month. Moment you do this, you will automatically see your problem getting solved. You just believe in me of this particular aspect, budgetary control. Believe in me, miracles might happen on financial side.
Perfect, Robin. So I think that answers a lot of the questions, and thank you so much for your time. And coming to the end of the session, I want to just summarize in the aspect of how we spoke about, we need to look at not just the idea and the people and focusing on the EQ, but again, a lot about money in context to how you do it. And as entrepreneurs, apart from the idea and all the focus areas, we should focus on budgeting. And the core thing is spending time reviewing, measuring the quarterly budget and getting a perspective. And then once part is going on, and then realigning for the in between months to optimize it, and so that we're able to take those actions before and get a perspective on it. And you also spoke about how even if you get funded or if you have certain flow of money coming in, how to stay low and how to use that money to be below your means so that you're not overspending, and respecting cash as the king. And then when you spoke about the examples of how the big companies have gone, so it's not just that you go big and the story is over. Once you become big, then the challenge or the story is just starting. You have to become very, very good in cash flow management, or else you'll sink like eBay, or example, you have challenges like Byju's that we spoke about. So it's been amazing, incredible, and so much of learnings coming from you in this short conversation. So Robin, so thank you so much for your time, and thank you for being at the Startup Bus.